All right, so we're back. And again, this is the Money Show, and this is the show that we created basically to talk about business, finance, and all those types of things that are related to our businesses being successful. Access to capital. Of course, that's why we have the partnership with Mr. Ron Garnett with Cash to Fund. And of course, by now, you all have seen the emails and the links. bbl.cashtofund.net is where you can go and start the process of getting access to over 250 private lenders. But for right now, and we're going to talk about that, Mr. Ron is going to discuss that in depth. And we're going to hear from our wonderful guests. Very happy to connect with them right now. And first, we're going to start with Mr. Ron. I want you to introduce yourself and tell everybody a little bit about what you do.
Okay, my name's Ronald Garnett. My firm is called Garnett and Associates, and we are business commercial finance brokers. That is, we work with businesses who cannot get bank funding for their businesses. We get them funding in the alternative finance market, which has standards that are different from banks. So we get people funded who cannot get bank loans. We have over 250 different lenders that we deal with. So we're pretty flexible and try and fit a client with a funder who they're willing to deal with their particular business needs.
Where's my feng shui master, Miss Janet Woods, guys? She is a. I don't want to steal her thunder, but she said that she is a feng shui master. Now, get this: the only black feng shui master in the world. Miss
Yes.
Woods, take it away. Tell us who you are and what you do.
Thank you so much for the intro. I have been practicing feng shui since 1996. When I started my business, I was the only African American practicing at the time. And I knew that feng shui was something most people don't even know what it is. And feng shui is Chinese for wind and water, two things that we as humans cannot live without, which is air and water. And so that's what that means. In my practice, what I do is I help people create spaces so that they can optimize their finance and their romance. And I kept waiting for other African American people to join me, and it's been 25 years. And there are people of color out there doing feng shui, but most of them are just starting their journey or they're not practicing. So the name of my company is The Art of Life. And I am just really excited to be on the show and share who I am and what the possibilities are for people out there that don't even know what it is.
That is amazing. I'm glad. Now, how long have you been a BlackBusinessList.com member?
About 6 months to a year.
6 months to a year. Okay, well, welcome. And we want to utilize your services too. I mean, that's amazing. I know that there's a lot of retail establishments and doctors' offices and places where, you want to have it kind of I don't know if decorated is the right word, but
It is.
organized. Okay, decorated and organized in a way that makes people make people feel comfortable when they go to the
Yes.
location. So we're going to be utilizing your services, and we're going to do something special with you. Now we've got Miss Evelyn Haye-Primus. Is that how you pronounce your last name?
That's correct.
Okay, tell us a little bit about you and what you do.
Okay, first, thank you for having me as a guest. I didn't realize I was going to be honored to be a guest when I accepted the invite, but this is awesome. I'm from, of course, Orangeburg, South Carolina, and my business is Creative Expressions and Gifts. And I've been doing personalized gift items, I would say, at least 30 years. I'm a former school teacher, so I literally stopped teaching after 27 years to do my business full time. So this is my 11th year full time. So I do custom T-shirts, I do coffee mugs, I do buttons. I'm a full floral service as well, which means I do everything from live to silk flower arrangements. but my specialty is gift baskets. And right now, for the last couple of years, I think T-shirts has kind of been my number one seller.
So thank you for joining us and being a guest. And what we want to do is midday, it's 12 o'clock. We wanted to have a discussion about some business topics, some things that I saw that I thought was very interesting, and that we could share with everybody, because one of the things we want to do with Beam BBL is to assist our members in becoming successful. So when we want it to really mean something that you're a member. And so we've got this relationship with Mr. Ron where you can apply to get access to capital up to, I think it's up to like $400,000, depending on your situation, which you may qualify for. And so one of the things I saw today that was really interesting, I wanted to share with you guys, that I said, we got to talk about this because I know it's going to affect a lot of people. So, guys, here's this article I found on The Intercept today. Banks are reversing course on PPP loans to small business owners. So I don't know if you got a PPP loan, but there are a lot of people who went out there, did whatever they, needed to do to get qualified for these PPP loans. Now, what's happening for some people is that the banks are now contacting them and saying, guess what? You got X amount of money, but when we did our scrutiny and our final calculations, you actually received too much money. So now we need to get some of that money back. So now you got these folks out there who got this money, and I'm pretty sure there are a lot of people out there who probably don't have any of those funds left, right? And so, but now they've got a bill for what they did not expect, some of that money back. Guys, what do you think about that?
I think that it's time to lawyer up.
Yes.
First of all, my feeling is that this is a typical kind of governmental operation where if the government kind of fumbles the ball, the risk of loss falls on you. Now, the issue that I have is that if you were a small business or a micro enterprise, I like to make that's a different distinction there between a micro enterprise and a small business. If you're a micro enterprise and you got that money probably lasted you 30, 45 days at the most. That money is gone. And to get a bill from the government or anyone saying, oh, you owe $2,000 or $3,000, $4,000, and you got to pay it back within a certain period of time, and the government got a lien on all your property for everything because of this, you might be in trouble. I mean, the very thing the loan was designed to prevent is happening to you. And if you're a micro enterprise, $3,000, $4,000, $2,000 might as well be $200,000 or $20 million. If you don't have it, you don't have it.
Right. Yeah.
So, excuse me. That when the loans first were given, the PPP, those loans were basically given to people who weren't necessarily hurt that much. A lot of large corporations got that money, and rich people got that money. And it was such an embarrassment, they had to give the money back. But if you're a billionaire, you can give back $300,000 or $400,000. It doesn't hurt you. If you're a micro enterprise and you need that money to keep the wolf from the door, and now you got to pay it back, you don't have it. So what are you going to do? Because as a finance person, the best time to try and borrow money is when you don't need it.
You don't need it.
It's hard to come to me for funding when you say the government is breathing down my neck for $5,000. Let me borrow $5,000, unsecured money. You're not a good risk.
Right. Right. Right.
Because you got a lien on you, basically.
I think that you're exactly right. The best time to get money or to try to get money is when you don't need it, right? So
Right.
usually people are waiting until they need the money to get the loan or to get access to those funds. And to operate a business successfully, you need to have access to capital, right? You need to be able to
Correct.
just be able to get money when you need it in case things happen. And here's a great example of how these people, well, COVID was a good example of things. I mean, nobody could really anticipate something as catastrophic as what happened to businesses during COVID. However, it does highlight the fact that we need to be thinking about things that could happen. We need to be thinking worst case scenario. I had a friend once who his business was to try to get businesses disaster ready. Some of us who live in the South and we're accustomed to hurricanes and tornadoes, we have to think about, well, what happens to my documentation if a tornado hits, in this, and all of my paperwork goes away? What
Yeah.
kind of backups and redundancies do we have in place? If I lose my client's information, what liabilities do I have if I have access to their personal information and somebody breaks in and steals the documents, or if a tornado comes and their documents are just flying up in the air? We have to think about all those types of things because in business, it's about minimalizing your liabilities and your risks. So that is something that we all have to think about, right? I have to have
Yes.
I have to be able to access money when I need it. So your credit has to be together. You have to work on that constantly, whether it's your personal credit, your business credit, and you also need to establish relationships with your bank and with people like Mr. Ron, who could just bless you with the money that you need in case anything that may happen pops up, because your business needs to keep operating, right? You don't want to people to show up to do business with you, and then for some unforeseen reasons you can't offer that product or service because you didn't have the was it the insight or foresight to think about, I need to have things set up now while things are good because I know something's going to happen, right? Anybody else want to add anything to that before I move on to the next article?
Yeah, I was going to agree with you on that. One thing that I've noticed that a lot of business, they don't think about preventive measures. Like you're saying, have an extra funds or capital just in case something happens. It can take one incident really to cause you to lose your entire business because you weren't prepared for it. And for me, I always say knowledge is power. So that's one of the reasons why I try to take part in, there's a lot of webinars that's been offered. Probably because of COVID, there were more webinars is offered that we may not have access to in the past. So I think it's very important for business owners to try to be knowledgeable. Know what are you going to do in case something happens. A lot of people just depend on day-to-day sales to keep their business going. But what happens if you don't get any sales for a few days? Can you still keep your business running? And then if you get a big order, which happens to a lot of business, we get these large orders and we don't have the capital to buy the supplies to fulfill the order. So then you lose the money. So I think that what y'all doing is very important. To bring the knowledge to the people to know what are you going to do. You got to have some kind of plan. And one thing you mentioned was very important. Having your documentation secure, having a backup plan. Now, for me, I do a lot of stuff on my computer, but if one goes down with all my documents, which has happened to me years back, something happens to my computer, all of my documents are lost. What do? So you got to have a backup plan for everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is true. And one thing I want to add to that is that a lot of people, especially African Americans, especially Black Business List, is that a lot of people I run into say they like to brag, well, I don't have any debt. I want to run debt free. Then you find out they are actually using their credit cards to keep the business afloat. And you might have a good credit history. You pay off your credit cards, but you're using them up to about 80, 90%. You don't qualify for funding if you are so leveraged where you are. If your credit card has a $10,000 limit and you owe $9,000 on it, you are ineligible for funding
Mm.
because no one's going to lend you money if you can't pay it back because you're disqualified. So nobody runs a business debt free. There's always some debt out there. You just don't say, I don't owe it to a bank or a finance company, but you owe it to somebody somewhere along the line.
Yeah.
I would
Yes.
I would agree with you on that one. Um, I was fortunate enough to get two PPP loans,
Mhm.
but what I did when I got my loan was I went through my credit card person because they have records of how much I've made through my credit cards. And I was able to get the first one forgiven. And I anticipate that the second one will be forgiven. But for me, it was really important that not only could I document that information, but also the credit card provider has that information as well. So if the government does come back and say, oh, we think we gave you too much money, and I'm looking at what I signed. That's really important when you're signing paperwork to know what you are responsible for. And nowhere in there does it say that they can come back and ask for their money without the proper documentation.
You're reaffirming some things for me because I recently got a relationship with Legal Shield so that I can offer legal plans for the businesses in BBL.
I have
And
Legal Shield as well.
you have it.
Hmm.
Great. Because it's just so empowering. If you think about when I was growing up and I would watch TV about, and I would see these successful business people, one of the things that they had on speed dial was that attorney, right?
Yeah.
Hmm.
So being able to send over a document to your attorney and say, hey, look this over and tell me what I need to look out for, or tell me
Hmm.
where the pitfalls may be in this document, or
Yes.
hey, somebody's trying to get this money from me. They sent me. I just got an email recently that I don't know if it's legit or not, but I'm going to send it over to them. And say, hey, take a look at this. Is this something I need to worry about? Right. So, being in business, just the nature of business, you need to make sure that your interests, because we have all these entanglements or all these relationships, we need to make sure that we have everything that about this relationship we need to understand, because it can have
Yes.
impacts on not only us, but if we have businesses with, employees, think about what can happen. There's a famous case. I don't want to bring up his name, but there's a person that's in the news right now. He had to close several of his establishments down, and that he had to do it quick. Like, I mean, people were getting ready for work, and they found out that, oh well, no, you don't have to come to work because you just shut down the location. And so it's not just us when especially when we have employees, right? That people are depending on us to have our business together. And so we need to understand these relationships that we get in if we take loans or if we sign agreements with people, things of that nature. So that's just a part of being a business owner. And something you said, Ms. Evelyn, made me think about this next story that I saw. So let me share that. Okay, boom. So, New Jersey small businesses revamp and reinvent to keep doors open during crisis. And so I saw a lot of stories about this during the pandemic of how people had to pivot. Some people had to actually change their business model on the fly so that they can stay relevant, so that they can keep income coming in. So you said something about you need to make sure that your income is coming in. I think daily, like you need to make sure, or at least weekly, you need to make sure your business is making money. And I know that sounds crazy, but there are some people who are in business, right? And they're legal with the state. When you look them up, they're a legal business and all that, but they're not really making a whole lot of money. So is it really a business or is it a hobby? What are your revenue goals? How much money are you trying to make this quarter? All of those things we need to think about as business people. And if we find ourselves in a situation where we're not making money, that means we're not solving the right problems. Because business to me is all about solving problems. If Mr. Ron is available, if you need money, he's the money guy. So you can go to him, he solves your problem, everybody's happy. If you own a restaurant, I'm hungry, I need to eat. I've got good food, right? And so you go to my
Hmm.
restaurant, you eat, I'm happy, you're happy. whatever the product or service is, you need to be solving a problem. So if you're not making money, that means you're not solving problems, right? Or you've got the wrong solution. So you need to look at what you need to do. Maybe you need to pivot. And so I thought about this when I saw this article, that hey, there are some folks who was like, look, I got to do something different, right? Sometimes you have to analyze your business and figure out what's going on. So anybody have anything on that they want to add?
I do.
Okay.
My business primarily has to do with me going to a person's home or business. And during COVID, that was unthinkable. And so my business pivoted thanks on technology. And
Mm-hmm.
so with my regular clients, we got on our iPhone and they walked me through what they were trying to set up based on social distancing and restaurant requirements. I also took my business globally,
Nice.
where I'm working with people in New Zealand, Australia, and in Great Britain, which would not have happened if it hadn't been for technology and COVID. So, sometimes when disasters happen, life expands.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. And I was going to say I agree with that too because my business, I don't even know if I mentioned the name, is Creative Expressions and Gifts. But for me, I do floral arrangements, fresh flowers. But because of COVID, guess what? No sales. Valentine's Day is normally the biggest day for me out of the whole year. But because of COVID, no sales. I didn't do any fresh flowers, but I made a pivot. So instead of doing fresh flowers, I ended up making face masks. So technically, I made more money last year during COVID than I was making before COVID
Wow.
because I
All
made a
right.
shift. I just shifted in my products. I was able to purchase more equipment that I wanted before because of COVID, because
Wow.
because I made that pivot. I changed my products. Um, things that was like I said, the flowers. That would have been. I turned my cooler off, unplugged it, and then I have a storefront, so no customers was coming in. But guess what? I had it set up. You make your order. I use Facebook. I use email. I use text. I use anything technology wise to get my product, to show them what the product was. And actually, I really didn't do any advertising because customers just came to me from word of mouth. So I have a website set up. People can go to the website. They can see some of my products and I always tell them, well, everything that's on there, I don't have it because everything is custom. But that just gives you an idea of what I do. So that worked for me. So like I said, I made face masks. I don't know how many face masks I made, but I made a lot of face masks. I customized them with the pictures that I would normally put on T-shirts. T-shirt inventory was scarce. Because they were making the face mask. So I couldn't get the T-shirts that I normally would get. So I had, like I said, I had to make a pivot. I had to do other things. And then I had to set up my customers. They can come in and, drive in, and I brought their items to the car. So I did car service. You don't have to get out your car. I always tell them when you come in, you don't have to get out your car. I'll bring your product to you. Guess what? That made them feel good. I don't have to get out. But I had to do it because I didn't want people coming into my business because of COVID. The way I was set up, I don't want people touching my products and I got to sell them because I have no way to sanitize them. I can't be spraying, I can't spray all the items in my gift shop. So the way I fixed that is you don't have to come in. I'll bring it to you. And then I did shipping. I did more shipping products out. So it worked. Like I said, you have to be able to make adjustments in order to survive in small business. Or I always say a growing business. I don't even like the term small business because people always say we're growing.
That.
Nice.
I never thought about
Nice.
that. I never thought about that. That's actually limiting talk. You're right. I have a small
Hmm.
business. It's like you own it. I like that.
Yes,
Yeah, I don't think
Yeah,
absolutely.
growing business. There you go. I like
yeah.
that. I have actually never thought about that before. Okay.
Yeah.
So the next article that came up, it's only two more guys, but this article I thought was very interesting too, and it was about Governor Whitmer. She's in Michigan, and she said that there's $6.5 billion available for for small businesses, growing businesses. and that the resource deployment must be strategic. And so this article made me think about the fact that there are many of us who are in business and we've never engaged our local government. We've never called our alderman or our city council person, however your local government is structured, and actually engaged them in conversation. Hey, I'm in business in your district. What resources or what can I attach myself to or take advantage of? And so I think that it's important that we bring this up during the money shows, that we talk about, hey, there may be money out there or programs that you're not even aware of because you have not engaged your local government. I know that here where I live, I was on a Zoom call with our local city council persons, and there wasn't that many people on the call. Like, a lot of people are not just really engaged. And I had also a conversation with somebody once who did government contracting, and they told me that they got a lot of government contracts simply because there wasn't a whole lot of people trying, right? Is that there's stuff out there that people are just not taking advantage of. And so for our BBL members, I want to put that on your radar, is that you need to become involved. Join your chamber of commerce or your local chamber of commerce, or reach out to your local elected leaders, because they're elected to serve you. And this is legacy stuff. Your business has to survive. So a lot of us, we're just one phone call away or one person away from the solution we need so that we can start growing our businesses even more. So I thought about that. Anybody they want to add to that, or they got any experience working with the local government?
Well, one thing I would like to add is that almost every local government and every state has some agency designed to help small businesses in some capacity. Uh, every city probably has a economic development or community development agency. Almost every state has one. I mean, you're in Georgia. Georgia has an economic development agency that is actually divided among the states strategically. I mean, I think we have maybe 7 or 8 different areas that, and each area is devoted to economic development in that particular area. And there's a person, and in fact, I know Georgia puts out a booklet, or it's a booklet now. It's an economic development booklet that tells you who to call and what your area, who the economic development person is in that area. You can actually call them, talk to them, meet with you. They'll meet with you and tell you what programs are available for you that are in that are being funded, and each city has one. Also, there's a thing called community development finance institutions. Every area doesn't have one, but these are nonprofit entities that get money to assist growing businesses, to get them in a position to be successful. In some instances, they will loan you money, but they also have a very, very important function. They will provide assistance for you on how to manage money, because I can get you the money, but I can't come to your business to tell you how to strategically use that money to grow, because money is a tool,
Mm-hmm.
and that tool should be used to grow your business, to feed your business. It's the lifeblood of your business. But there are various agencies around that will help you in developing your business, give you all the assistance you need to try and make it successful.
Mm-hmm.
And but we don't necessarily look at it that way. But that's as important as money. How to handle your money.
I would agree with you on that. When the pandemic started, my local chamber, they reached out to all the chamber members I think they had ulterior motives because in order for you to be a member, you have to be in business. And so
Yeah.
they were really on it. And they set us up with the economic group. And they were the ones that informed me that I could actually get a PPP loan because I didn't think I would qualify for one because I don't have employees. If not for that, I probably would not have been successful during, or I would have had to work a little harder during the pandemic. But yes, make sure you're a member of the chamber. And also, the chambers, most of them are already connected to governmental entities that are meant to help you. Because when they're successful, you're successful.
And I was going to say, I'm glad you mentioned that. I was going to mention Chamber of Commerce is definitely one great resource to be involved with, to be involved in. And then also SCORE, SCORE, is a national
Yes.
network. And I really have learned a lot through SCORE because you can even get private mentors to help you in whatever area that you need help in. And then you have the SBA, your Small Business Association. So those resources are free. But
Yes.
believe it or not, it is very valuable if you take part in that because there's a lot of, well, for me, I have learned, even in my business, sometimes I have to spend money to get the knowledge that I need because it's worth that. But when you go through the SCORE, it's free, but you're still getting the same valuable information that people are spending thousands of dollars to get. But you
Hmm.
have to be willing to we always say if you don't have the money, you should take the time. The time and use your time because we all have time. Take the time to, like, even what you're doing right here today. Take time to get involved to see what resources are available to you. Participate in webinars, watch your webinars. Um, just be knowledgeable in different organizations that can benefit you. And that's what I've done. Actually, in the last 2 years, I think I've learned more knowledge than I probably have in my whole career put together because of the webinars.
Hmm.
And it's
Amen.
you're gonna have to make that sacrifice. Yeah, you could be out there making a product or something, but guess what? If you have more knowledge, you can be able to do your job more effectively. And then also the resources that you get. A lot of times you don't know what's out there for you. There are grants available to small business or growing business, but a lot of time people don't know what's out there. Even today, you get discounts for being in the military when you're buying your products. But people don't take advantage of that. 5% saved, 10% saved. That it starts adding up. So I always say knowledge is power. To be willing to seek information and seek knowledge, it would always take your business to another level.
Well, I would like just to piggyback on that in that SCORE is a very good resource. I am a
Hmm.
certified SCORE mentor, and to be a SCORE mentor, you just don't walk off the street and say, "I want to be a SCORE mentor." I mean,
No,
I mean,
no.
when I first started, I thought, well, I just volunteer, and they said it had to be interviewed. They said you got to bring something to the table, that you got to know what you're talking about, and you got to go through training and certification every year to be a SCORE mentor. So it is a very good resource that a lot of people don't take advantage of because with a SCORE mentor, as a SCORE mentor, we stay with you as long as you want us to be there. We don't have a cutoff date uh, as far as being a SCORE mentor. So if you say, "Well, I'm going to need you for 5 years," we're there for 5 years, a year, whatever, anything you need, and SCORE has a lot of valuable resources you can go to online and get information too.
I really appreciate that. I can tell you my
International.
SCORE story is that when I first started my practice, I come from a customer service background. So I didn't have any sales experience. So I went to see a SCORE representative and I was explaining to him what I was doing. And he goes, "I don't know what that feng shui stuff is, but your target market is Chinese," which I hadn't even thought of. And that actually started my business because the Chinese community was open to having someone that was not Chinese but American to help them with their spaces.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Mm.
Well, I don't know if I'm an anomaly, but I've told the story to Mr. Ron before. But one of the reasons why I started BlackBusinessList.com, just one of them, was my experience with Score. Right. So I went in, but this is a good while ago. I'm not going to tell my age, but I was in my early 20s, and I went in to talk with the guy, and it did not go well. He really discouraged me. I felt when I walked out of there, I felt like I'm never going to be in business. Like I can never make this work. And so I understand that that's probably a one-off. I mean, I don't know, but for anybody who goes to their local government or any type of agency and they're not successful, I've created BlackBusinessList.com in part to be a solution for you because I'm not going to turn you away because you're a little young black guy, with meager resources or whatever. I'm not going to crush. We don't want to crush your dreams. And I'm glad some of our members won't even let you say small business. They want you to say growing business. We're about positivity. We're about upliftment, and we're about taking it to the next level, no matter where you are. I've met a lot of guys who are hood entrepreneurs, right? They got all the business acumen in the world. They don't have a degree to speak of at all, but they have this knowledge of how to make money, how to hustle. And so there are a lot of people who fall through the cracks. Like they don't go to these government agencies. They don't, but they have, a lot of ambition. And so I knew that you got Black Enterprise out there. You can go to a Black Enterprise conference and spend a couple of $100 and get like a name badge and a what do you call it, grab bag with some goodies in it and things like that. But then there are a lot of folks out there who were like me when I was in my 20s. I just need somebody to put me on that path to where I can start to mix and mingle in those types of environments. And so, I want this to be an organization where everyone feels comfortable, even that guy who washes cars or cuts grass. I want everybody to have that pathway to becoming having a business that's successful. So I want to put that out there because you may go and you may get discouraged if you talk to somebody at your bank or talk to somewhere. That's why we got Mr. Ron, because a lot of people go to the banks and they say, "Hey, I'm a small business and I want a small business loan," and they get turned down and they get discouraged, right? And so we want to always make sure that we have all these different pathways for people because it's very precious to have someone with an entrepreneurial mindset. And a lot of times people get so discouraged because they're the only people in their circle who have that spirit. And so if you don't nurture that spirit, it can get crushed, right? Why don't you just go get a job? I told you it wouldn't work. Why are you trying to do that? You need to do this. You need to do that. And so this needs to be a space where we all feel comfortable being an entrepreneur and supported. And so that's one of the reasons why we're doing what we're doing. Last thing I saw here that I wanted to bring up today was building. It's about, I didn't share the screen, did I? Let me actually share the screen with you. It's about your reputation. And I know this is big in the Black business community as well. So this article was about how to build a winning reputation for your growing business. We're not using small business anymore. What is reputation management? Like, what do people think about you? What do people think about your business? What are people saying about your business? When you look your business up, what are they finding? Because, guys, the truth of the matter is today, if you tell somebody about your business, they're going to look you up. They're going to try to figure out who you are based off of your digital footprint, right? So what are they finding? So here's some tips, right, to building a good reputation online. Be a helpful resource for your customers. Demonstrate your social responsibility. Offer high quality products and services. Ask for feedback regularly and engage on social media and participate in local community events. I think if Black business owners did those things, because a lot of times you have people who are very hesitant about doing business with us because we're Black, because there's this stigma about being a black-owned business. If they say they open at 8, is it really going to be 8, or is it going to be 8-ish? Uh, you know, you know,
Or not at all.
not at all.
Or not at all.
You
The whole
know,
night you're
Uh-huh.
open.
even though I remember back in the day, the other people, they could leave a sign on their door that says "Gone fishing." Like they had
Right.
their little things, but anyway, but yeah, we have this thing that we have to fight against, this bad stigma all the time. And a lot of times I know where I live, I can go into black businesses and feel like, why are you here? Like, if you don't love what you do, like, I mean,
Mhm.
really, why are you opening your doors? Because you obviously don't care about how the place looks, how the service is. It's just like, hey, we here. What you want?
Uh,
Can I help you? And it's like, that's terrible.
it is, and I want to say so. I was talking to a friend of mine about this. Is that a black business? You got a stigma, right? Because we don't have a history of having black businesses all the time. We have skills, but not necessarily the acumen on how to present yourself. One, I was talking about a friend of ours where we were working, you trying to support the guy, but every time you went in his business, he had a crowd of friends around.
Yeah.
They sat around talking. It was a hangout spot. So you walk in and you're trying to talk to him about what he does, and you got two or three other guys in the conversation with you.
Yeah, that's bad.
and, uh,
That's
and you
terrible.
say, well, maybe I don't want to have these people in my business when I'm talking with you about. And while you're talking to me, you're talking to them too. And so what should have been a 15-minute conversation becomes a 45-minute conversation because you're always, interrupting what I'm talking about business to talk to your friend about something else, about what happened to him, what's on the TV, what happened at the game, or something like that. And and I think that's the issue that a lot of us have is that a business is a business, not a hangout spot. It's not a hangout spot, and you got to be professional. Now, I once had a black lady who was I ran across. She wasn't a client of mine, but we were working together. She actually taught manners, which basically was customer service, and she taught
Yep.
manners, how to talk to somebody, how not to be abrupt and whatever. And where I live, I live in Georgia, but she was hired by Chick-fil-A to teach manners to all their employees. And basically, you walk to a Chick-fil-A, you treat it differently than a McDonald's or a Burger King or anything else.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And once you said the food is okay, but I know I'm gonna be treated well, they're gonna have good customer service. But that was a business decision. They hired somebody
Mm.
to have manners and everything like that. And black businesses, because we don't have a tradition of entrepreneurship all the time, we don't know of how you're supposed to interact with customers. Like one thing with my business, I was talking to a funder, and I tell every funder, you are a nationwide organization. You fund people all over around the country, but you got to be transparent. You got to treat every customer that I refer to you a certain way, and you got to communicate with them because they can't find you; they can find me. It, I have an office. I got a telephone number. You can find me. And if you're dissatisfied, it affects my bottom line. So I tell them that very all the time. I said, do not uh, have an attitude or be discourteous. If somebody can't get funded, tell them why, what road they can do to get the money. And I always tell my clients, always call me. If you have any questions, call me and I will go to the funder and advocate for you and talk to you on your behalf. And whether you get funded or not, that is a big thing. And one other thing I'm going to say, I was talking to a guy this morning. Answer your phone and return a call. Return a call, because he was getting ready to bounce a guy because he couldn't get in contact with him. So his phone was always on. You never answered the phone, and your mailbox was full. So he's having trying to get in contact with him for a week, and I can't get in contact with him, which puts people, nervous. Where you say, "Well, answer your phone. It's not that hard to answer. It's hard to call somebody back and answer the question." Just basic things.
Yeah, there was a lot to unpack with what you said, right? There's a lot in there,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of cultural things with black folks, and then there's just a lot in there.
Yeah.
But I guess a good analogy is like when I told somebody that I didn't grow up with a brother, for example. I mean, with a older brother. I didn't have a lot of guys I hung around. But some of my friends, they did, and so I noticed that there was a difference in how they moved, right?
Uh-huh.
And so having, it's not just something natural. That some things are just not natural. You have to be taught, right? So when
Yes.
people say that's common sense, well, it's common sense because a lot of people were taught that thing.
Right.
But naturally, you may not think to do X, Y, or Z. And so
Right.
when you in business, a lot of times with black folks, we start a business just because we're talented in something. We're like, oh, I can make money at this, so I'm gonna start a business. But those business skills about how to interact with people, how to make sure your customers receive the excellent service. I think when she talked about Chick-fil-A, or when you talked about Chick-fil-A too, it represents excellence, and that's what we need to get back to. I can think of and I don't know where I get this image from, but when I think of like a black guy who was just a manager at a grocery store, and he's got his little apron on, and he's sweeping in front of the store, it just represents like this guy taking care of this business. This guy, from start to finish, A to Z, he's going to make sure his customers are happy, that the experience is good. That is a part of our history, but it's been lost. And I think what happened, sometimes we get so excited that we're doing business with each other that we drop our guard, we drop our expectations, we drop our devotion to excellence. It's like that voice that we switch when somebody else is on the phone. Hello, hi, how may I help you? And then when it's somebody like or whatever, hey, what's going on? It's like you kind of drop. But then we need to make sure that when we do business with each other, it's always at that excellent point. And I think that that's something that we can do here at BBL, is try to foster that. First, for me, in terms of leading this thing, that's what I need to create, so that every interaction that you all have, you feel that way. And then for also to just make it transfer to our businesses, because we're all black-owned businesses. We need to represent excellence. When someone does business with us, they know, hey, oh, they're a member of BBL. I know what they teach. I know what they're about over there. That's kind of what I want to build with this group. So I wanted to bring that up because I think it's part of the reason why Chick-fil-A is so successful. I mean, it's just a chicken sandwich. I mean, it's nothing. They didn't invent anything.
No, they did not.
I think they might use peanut oil or whatever. Okay, but it's just it's a chicken sandwich. It's real basic. Got a little pickle that comes on it. I mean, you can get the classic, and I think it adds like tomato and cheese and whatever. But I mean, it's a chicken sandwich. But they have mastered making you feel like, oh, you're entering. I mean, for a while, it doesn't even feel like a fast food joint. It's like it's Chick-fil-A. But I was like, wait a minute, this is just a fast food joint. What's the difference between Chick-fil-A and McDonald's or Burger King, right? But they create this thing where you might feel okay sitting in there with your laptop and doing a little work. It's they've elevated it. And so that's what I think, that we all have that capability of creating this wonderful experience for our clients or for our customers, and we need to build from there. If you like, when I'm guilty of it. I know how to do so many things, right? Personally, I have so many skills, and I try to just offer it all. But when I try to offer it all, I can't do any of them with excellence. It's like I do a lot of things okay, but what I need to do is kind of bring that in and do fewer things with excellence. And then that way, that's when you'll have the traction. Everybody's talking about you. Everybody's sharing, what you do with other people, and then you can grow. But just make sure that you make it small and do one or two things very with excellence, and then move out from there. That's kind of what I don't know if you want to add to that before we go.
I
I was
wanted
gonna
to
say
add
I would.
something. Oh, go ahead.
You go ahead.
I wanted to go back to reputation.
Okay.
Um, I have found that using social media has been a huge vehicle for me because in my line of work, I sign a confidentiality clause. So I don't have any client testimonials anywhere.
Mm,
And so it was important for me to have my clients decide when they wanted to do a testimonial. And they did it on their Facebook page or their Instagram page, or my life is better because of blah, blah, blah. I have a nickname, which is Dr. Janet, because nobody calls me when things are good. They only call me when they're out of money, they broke up, they're getting a divorce, their business isn't working. And so I always recommend for my students that you Google yourself at least once a week and count how many pages are talking about you. Because if you only have one page, your reputation is going to suffer. And so use the social media, but also, ask your clients to use your information on their page and use your hashtags because your hashtags get you to places you never even knew existed.
that's good
Excellent.
stuff.
And I don't know,
That's good
just want
stuff.
to add on to that too. What I was going to say is a lot of times that people, several things that y'all mentioned um, about reputation is that people, when they come into your business and you treat them with respect and you treat them in a
Yes.
professional manner, they're going to come back. Now, for me, I'm going to share this about myself. Now, if you look at my internet presence and you look at my website, you don't know what my store looks like inside. You have no idea. My business is actually home based. Okay, so what I did was I remodeled my garage. It's a storefront. You can walk in just like any other business. But when you walk in there, I had a news report even said it looks like a Hallmark store. Okay, what do I mean by that? It's professional when you walk in. You no longer realize you just walked through. Well, of course, I have commercial doors now, but you would never know that you just walked in somebody's garage. You just feel like you walked into a gift shop. And then you treat your customers with respect. You treat them with care. Each person individual, and you give them your best service. And I always tell people, when I was doing flowers for weddings, people don't ask how much you paid for your flowers. They ask who did your work.
That's true.
Okay, so it doesn't matter how much you paid, if I gave you a discount or didn't give you a discount, whatever. They're going to look at that work. They want to know who did it. So I always tell my name is on everything that comes out of my shop, out of my business. My name is on there. And then I tell them, Google my name. Like you said, be Googleable. I said, Google my name.
Hmm.
See what you find out about me. Look me up. And that's where I get a lot of my customers too, because they have Googled me. I'm like, how did you get my name? Oh, I
Google.
Googled you. And, I Googled gift shop and your name came up. I read your information and I decided to choose you. So it's very important, and it's been stated several times, it's important, your presence, how you treat your customers. And about Chick-fil-A, I'm going to say this because my husband is very particular about where he eats at. And when we walk into a restaurant or a place of business, we can ready to get some food, and they don't say hello when we walk in. They have an attitude. We walk around, it's not clean inside. We turn around and walk right back out. Chick-fil-A, if you haven't noticed, it's always clean when you go in there. The people greet you when you walk in. So that's what makes them. Yes, they're selling nothing but a chicken sandwich and the nuggets. Mighty. I even looked at my house. These little teeny nuggets. Truthfully, I'm like, these nuggets are small. But it's not the food so much. It's the customer service. The way that they're treated when they walk in, and then you don't have to ever. You go into the restrooms, it's clean. All of that stuff comes together in a business. You have to make sure presentation, and then another thing you mentioned earlier about when you go into a business, say, okay, we open at 9:00, and it's 9:30, and nobody haven't showed up yet. That kind of stuff is important. You have to, whatever you say you're going to do, you have to do. If you have on your website, you open at 9, you need to be there before 9. Not the customer at the door and you coming in with your key trying to get in, saying, excuse me, can I get in? All that should be in place ahead of time. And I'm going to stop because I could say so much more. so much more.
Yes.
But it's important. It's important.
Well, Ms. Evelyn, while you were talking, I'm going to go ahead and, hopefully with your permission, just show this right here. This is you?
Yes.
Okay. So again, tell us a little bit about your business and what you offer.
Okay, so I do custom-made products. I do T-shirts. As you can see, some of these are some of my customers on it, and I also did my own website too. So, I do custom-made products, T-shirts. I do coffee mugs. I do jewelry, buttons. Actually, probably start off with buttons first. Anything that can be personalized, and I always tell people, if you can put it on the computer screen, I can make the product. I do photography as well, so a lot of time I incorporate a lot of my products into the photos that I take. Okay. Customers can send me their photos, and then I can create the products based upon it. So I also do, like you can see on the screen, I do rhinestones as well. Mm-hmm. I do many things, and I always tell people this just is a gift from God that I can do multiple things, and I do each thing well. It's not that I do a lot of stuff and don't do it professionally. Everything that I do is done in perfection. Mm-hmm. But I just have more. I've always had a dream to have my own business and be able to use all of my gifts in one location. So that's how that came about. And like I said before, I am still certified as a teacher. I still have my license up to date as a school teacher. But I just love crafts. I like anything with my hands.
Okay.
So I do my designs and everything. And like I said, and I do ship. I ship even internationally as well.
Okay.
That's me and my husband on that one.
This is your husband right there?
Yeah, my husband's my best supporter. Yeah.
Nice. Okay, well, guys, check her out. She's you got the music going? All right.
Yeah, that's the first one. Just show some of the designs on there.
Okay. Well, yeah, check
but
her
then
out.
My business was, I was also featured in BlackBusinessList 2014.
Okay.
I won a grand prize through Black Enterprise, and they paid for me airfare to their conference. And then I had my business was also featured in one of their magazines. That's what really got my eyes open to getting more information about more education. Mm-hmm. Once I went to one of their conferences, and then, of course, I ran across y'all. I was like, oh, you gave me an opportunity to get my business. So I did receive some calls, too, when people said they found me on your site.
Awesome.
So it has been paying off, and I thank you for the great job you're doing.
All right, and then that brings us into Miss Janet, the master. Let's see, I'm going to pull up your BBL listing here. So this is your listing here. Very nice picture, by the way. I like how you put that frame around it. See, look at her. You can tell she's special by that frame. Look, that looks nice.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
All right, so there's alternative medicine, coaching, design, health and wellness, and real estate?
Yes. I work with real estate investors because they're flipping houses and they don't know how to set the house up so that it will sell.
Ah.
So I do that, and I also work with people. One of the things I do in the Los Angeles area is some of my flippers, they will buy houses where people have been murdered in. And so I go in and help them with that as well, with the energy of clearing that out.
All right, guys. Well, I appreciate you all being on here today. And again, this is the Money Show, and we're talking about finance and business. And Mr. Ron, I'm gonna give you the last word since you're the money man, and a lot of the things that we talked about today. Sometimes you need a little money to make all that happen. It's hard,
Yes.
even if you
That's
hire
fantastic.
somebody to hire someone to give to feng shui your space. You need money to hire Miss Janet. Miss Janet just don't come out. It's not a nonprofit. Miss Janet, you don't operate a nonprofit, do you?
Not anymore. My first
So
year was a nonprofit.
okay, she's elevated. She's passed on from the nonprofit status, so now
Yes,
you
yes.
got to pay Miss Janet to come in and help your business. So there's nothing wrong with that. We just need the money. Whenever black folks we're always asking each other for, hey man, can I get a little discount on that? It's because we're broke. That's why we're saying that. When we have money, we spend it appropriately, and I think that's what rich people do. When they need something, they just get it. They don't sit there and just belabor over it for, days and days. They like to move, right? I need, hey, pick up, call my attorney. Hey, take care of this. Hey, call the
Yeah.
accountant. Hey, take care of this. So that's how we need to develop that muscle as business owners. Mr. Ron, so how can you help us get that money?
Well, as I said, money's the lifeblood of a business. Uh, the link that we have, you can apply for unsecured funding, a signature loan. That is money with no collateral down, based on your credit and your income, essentially. And no application fee, no prepayment penalty. And we try and get everybody qualified. If you don't qualify, we'll tell you what you need to clean up to qualify. Uh, I've been in this business for several years, and unsecured signature loans have dried up in almost every source. Like, you can't go to a bank and get one anymore. So this is one of the few sources where you can go and say, I want to start a business. I want to expand my business. I don't have any collateral. I've been paying my bills, and got good. My credit is not great, but it's okay. What can I qualify for? We'll qualify for you. We'll qualify you for a certain amount. You get that amount of money, and you don't owe us any fees until you actually have the money in your bank account.
All right. Well, it sounds good to me. And guys, I want to thank you so much for being. You're a part of my experiment today. This is our first time really having people from the list on. I love it. Now, just to let you know too, part of the strategy. I don't know if you've seen BBLTV. That's the media component of BlackBusinessList.com, and so I've developed all of these channels with different topics: sports, money, inspiration. We're coming out with health and beauty for like cosmetics and fashion, things like that. And so all of these channels will be opportunities for our members to come on and talk about, like, the feng shui would be good for our regular BBL channel, as you talk about retail spaces and how to, make it more appealing to people to come in. So you could, talk about that on that channel. Then we have the money channel. Mr. Ron's on the money channel. We have all these different opportunities for you to come on. Let everybody know who you are, what you do. Like you said, Ms. Evelyn, this is the time, this is the year, the past year and a half, where we've learned the real power of online, social media, like you said, Ms. Woods, and also just going live, just hitting the button, being okay with being on camera. Who are you? What do you do? What do you have to offer? I'm authentic. Here I am. Like Mr. Ron said, here's my office. This is real. I'm real. What kind of problem can I solve for you today? Right? So it's just about solving those problems. So that's why we're here. That's what we're doing, why we're doing what we're doing. And I'm excited. I think that you guys hopefully will be guests. So what I'm going to start doing is just sending out the emails to say, hey, look, want to go live? And so you can, what in the world? Okay. This is that my cue to end the show? Oh, I
I
know what
think
that
so.
is. I know what that is. That's my channel. That's my channel. Okay. So I was like, in the Oscars when you're talking too long and the people start playing the music, so you can get
Right.
off the
Yeah.
stage. I thought that might be what it is. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining us here today. This channel is for you. If you feel free to contact me and say, hey, Steve, I want to go live and talk about some new product or some new service, or if there's something in the news that you think is what's the word, relevant to
Relevant.
relevant to your business or your industry, and you want to talk about it with the members. Hey, just call me up and we'll work it in. So these channels are for you. They're not for me. They're for you to be able to get on and show your expertise. All right. So thank you so much for joining us here today, guys. And if you're watching this on a replay, I anticipate a lot of people will watch this on a replay. I might boost this, just so a lot of people can see it. Uh, Go ahead and leave a comment. If you like me and didn't know that Miss Evelyn's shop is in South Carolina, I thought she was up north somewhere. She right there in South Carolina. That ain't too far, you know what I mean? So, just leave a message and let us know that you appreciate the content that you saw here today. So, guys, thank you so much. And with that, we're going to go ahead and end. All right.
All
Thank
right.
you so
Bye.
much.
Thank
All
you.
Thank
right. We
All
see
right.
you.
you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye bye.